When searching for ideas to remodel your home, well, most big chain stores, they can recommend someone to do the work.
But one unlicensed contractor has been taking advantage of that trust and customers. Mike McKnight tells us what to watch for in tonight's 6 on Your Side investigation.
He was going to do my floors.
When a flooring contractor promised to cut her a deal, stylist Angela McWilliams trusted the pitch because of where he made it.
I don't know how long he had been there, or like if he heard us talking or anything, but he eventually just approached us and asked if we needed our flooring laid because he contracted with Home Depot.
The same contractor, Jose Juarez-Banos, is the subject of a theft by deception investigation after another remodeling customer paid him almost $5,000 with no work done.
He stated he contracts for Home Depot.
Home Depot tells me Jose Juarez-Banos was terminated from its contractor list in 2021. And Angela and her mother say while they were shopping at an Omaha Home Depot more than a year later in November 2022, the same contractor approached them.
I feel he preyed on us, and I'm sure he does that to other people, you know, in the store looking to have a project done. Everybody's looking for a cheaper deal.
Angela says the contractor cashed her almost $470 check, but in 3 months she has yet to receive flooring from him, only a refund promise.
So we went to his bank, and
That's where he told us to meet him at.
And
he never showed.
he never showed up.
The Better Business Bureau president contacted the contractor.
You haven't approached anybody at Home Depot?
The BBB has 2 complaints that contractor Jose Juarez-Banos approached customers at Home Depot.
I've requested that he send me some verification, which he claims that he has, that he is not engaged in this sort of a business practice. So we're investigating this.
The BBB is waiting for the contractor's paperwork. For the Solana boutique owner, the lack of a refund means she has to hire someone else to do the job, essentially pay twice. And that trims money off the income she needs to meet her bottom line. Angela says when hiring anyone for repair or remodeling work, she'll use a fine-tooth comb.
Don't take their word for it. Check them out.
On Your Side, Mike McKnight, 6 News.
Home Depot tells Mike that the company is working with law enforcement on the case, and Jose Juarez-Banos not an authorized contract or when he approached customers in the stores.
Juarez-Banos has been charged with theft by deception in a third case involving another remodeling customer who didn't receive the work he paid for. The contractor has not returned our messages for comment.